crossed that bridge yet. And they're a little leery of it, and with good reason. There's a lot of questions they'd like to ask, and you need to find a place where you can ask the question you've always wanted to ask, but never found a place where you could ask it, or never had the courage to ask it either way. Well, this is the place. It's for the individuals who maybe have been in quartets and are trying to find out how to get into another one, or it's also for individuals who may have tried to get into a quartet and it didn't work. I'm not talking about the musical product, but it just didn't work out. It didn't seem to get along. There were problems, and they were expecting not to have any problems. They were expecting it to be heaven on earth when they got in this quartet, and so they were disappointed. Well, there are reasons for that. A couple of ground rules for you if you haven't been in a quartet, and if you have and you haven't thought about this, think about it. First of all, you need to get into a quartet with 3 guys of approximately the same talent that you have. Don't try to get involved with the one that's way over your head or one that's way under you. Somebody's going to get frustrated in that situation. Just think about it for a while. Unless you're lucky enough to find someone who's been in the quartet world for a long time, they've got an awful lot of know-how and a lot of moxie, and they don't mind. They don't mind backing up, so to speak, a little bit, because they kind of would like to help the other 3 learn what it's about. If you find somebody like that, count your blessings, okay? Because, yes, you will learn a lot from that individual. He knows the ropes. He's been there. He'll do a lot of internal coaching for you that will help. But barring that situation, try to stay close. No 2 people have exactly the same talents. But try to stay close to your talents so that the quartet can grow together and there's no frustration about somebody always being last in the pecking order. Nobody wants to be that. And so you don't want anybody to be that. Everybody says, well, we all got our music learned except old Sid Sausage. Sid always takes forever to learn his music. Well, that's going to get frustrating, and before long, that quartet ain't going to be anymore. It just won't. Because you can't enjoy a quartet if you're frustrated about something. So, number 1, try to get the guys that are about of the same ilk that you are, and then grow together. Number 2, unless you have a very experienced person in the quartet, there's only so much self-coaching you can do. Because what you hear in the quartet as a member of the quartet and a singer in the quartet is not what is heard by the outside ears. There are certain things you can do, and we'll talk about some of those things as we go along tonight, some of the self-coaching things that you can do. But you're going to find out it's going to involve outside ears. Namely, we're going to have 2 guys in the quartet sing, and 2 guys become listeners. And then a different 2, and a different 2, and then 3, but always a listener. And believe it or not, you'll be amazed. I will just make a bold statement right now. I doubt if there's anybody in this room that cannot do an adequate coaching job under the circumstances I'm going to describe. I think there's a man here who could not be a decent coach. And you're going to say to yourself, I don't know anything about coaching. I don't know anything about the vernacular. I don't know anything about the terminology. How could I be a decent coach? And the answer is very simple. You've got a pair of ears. You're in the barbershop world. You know the product. So when you hear 2 guys singing together, you can tell if there's a gross mismatch. You can really tell. You say, well, they don't seem to be matched. You say, well, yeah, I could do that. But now what do I do when I tell them that? I don't think you're well matched. Because they're going to say, what do you want us to do, right? And you're going to say, well, let me hear the lead singer. You listen to the lead singer and you say, that sounds okay. Fine. Then leave him alone. Now you look at the other guy and you say, change something. I'm serious. Change something. So he'll give you this, you got to be kidding, No, change something. So I'll fix you. So he changes something and you say, oh, that's better. Whatever you did, do a little more of it. Or you might say, oh, that's worse. You went the wrong direction. Change it the other way. It works. You don't have to have the technical knowledge. All you got to do is have the ears that say it's sounding better as a twosome or it's sounding worse. I'm not talking about in tune. That is presumed. If somebody can't sing in tune, he ain't going to work in a quartet. As a matter of fact, music should not be his bailiwick if he can't sing in tune. Now, if he's singing with vocal quality, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe the vocal quality can be improved. Maybe yes, maybe no. It's ironic. I've heard some guys. I'll give you a good example. How many of you have heard the quartet on record, of course, the Confederates? 1956 international champions. Very fine quartet. One that stands out over the years. Some of the things that they did, they introduced, are now classics, considered classics, like the Nightingale sang in Berkeley Square, or South Rampart Street Parade, or Save Your Confederate Money, Boys, the South Shall Rise Again. They introduced a lot of songs that are around today. So they were a quartet of high distinction. But you'll never hear that quartet with a lead solo. Dave Labonte did no lead solos. He was not a soloist. He didn't have a solo quality to his voice. He sounded like a fish peddler if he sang by himself. But as a lead man in a quartet, he understood his role. And he fulfilled it to the utmost. You wanted a solo by somebody, Wally Singleton, the bass, would step out and sing Summertime just wonderfully. Or Bill Busby would step out. He had what we call the classic baritone voice, just that little bit of fuzz to it, you know. He could sing as loud as he wanted and you never heard him. He just filled out. He just filled out chords because of that fuzz. He didn't have that laser beam like I have, for example. I've got that quality that leads should have, and here I am singing baritone. That's the way it goes. So, Labonte would never be a soloist, but he was a fine quartet man. So, you may say, well, I don't have good solo quality. So what? So what? A quartet is not made up of 4 individuals. Quartetting is a team sport. Barbershopping is a team sport. And if 4 guys go in with the right attitude to form a team, get the egos out of there now. It's not 3 guys to make another guy look good. It's 4, the team. You would be surprised what can be done with 4 guys. Even if they don't have good matching voices going in, you'd be amazed what they can accomplish. It's a matter of desire. So, when it comes to quartetting, I'll tell you this right now. The next rule, and maybe it should be the first one, sing with guys you like. Now you're going to say, well, I don't know anybody in the barbershop that I really dislike. And I agree with that statement. I agree with that. I've never met a bad barbershopper. I take that back. I met one, but he didn't last long. He left. And I understand why. He couldn't get along. So he wasn't meant to be a barbershopper. So my rules still hold. I've never met a bad one that I didn't like. Some of them can test you a little bit. Sing with guys you like. Now, the reason I say that is, if you're not singing with somebody you like, then what is your criteria for how you're doing? And it's going to be a technical evaluation of his capabilities. Now let me tell you this. There's no perfect singer in the world. There is no such thing. Believe me. You can talk about the bass and the acoustics until you're blue in the face, but I'm here to tell you, he ain't perfect. It's close. But he ain't perfect. So you're much better off to use as your criterion, your prime criterion, a guy you like to sing with. Why? Because friends have a way of not seeing a friend's faults. They don't see them as faults. Now they might see some way to improve something. Nothing wrong with that. If I can help Paul sing a better tenor or a better lead, I'd be glad to do that. He'd probably be happy to have me do that. But I'd sing with him the way he is, because I like the man. So I'd be happy singing with Paul. Now, we may not go out and win any gold medals, but I'm not sure that's the way to measure quartets. Quartets were in the beginning, and a lot of them still are, put together to enjoy. We love this style called barbershop, and the quartet is the epitome of it. See, I consider the chorus a breeding ground for quartet people. It's what it was in my eyes and still is today. Super choruses though there may be. But to me it's still a breeding ground for quartet people, because quartetting is the ultimate. That's the ultimate experience, the ultimate enjoyment. Not only of the barbershop style, but of 4 guys. And let me tell you, you're going to become close. And I'm going to throw something else in that might surprise you. Wives are going to have to get along too. Now, they're not going to be thrown together as much as the guys are. But the wife has to be, let's say, supportive. She doesn't have to participate if she chooses not to. A lot of them don't. My wife doesn't anymore. She said, I've done it for 40 years, that's long enough. So she says, go do your thing. You don't need me. But if it's something important or critical, she'll be there because she supports me in that activity. So the wives do come into play. And you don't want two wives that are knocking heads, because that's going to impact your quartet. So when you get four guys together, make sure you give consideration to the wives. And also, if you're in the quartet for any length of time, make sure that you show your wives appreciation for letting you do what you're doing. Because you can bet your bippy that it's going to be 2 nights a week. One for each chapter and one for the quartet. Now you're beginning to push the limit. So make sure you show appreciation. Let the quartet take the wives out to dinner on occasion. Doesn't have to be real fancy or anything like that. You'd be amazed. I remember one time we went to a contest back in wherever it was, on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. So we wired our 4 wives a dozen roses each. They were sending telegrams of good luck and all that kind of stuff. They got roses. Let me tell you, they talk about that today. They remember that. Whittier does a nice job of that with visiting quartets on the annual show. Send the wives some. Quartet's here, you can say thank you to the quartet, but don't forget the wives. Okay, enough about the wives. Pick guys that you like to sing with. You'll be amazed how long it'll stay together and how much fun you have, and you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. For example, I would like to have a volunteer, tenor, lead, baritone, and bass, not from the same quartet. Okay, I don't want a quartet just now. I want 4 volunteers. Be not afraid. You are amongst friends. I will not embarrass you. I promise you. Matter of fact, I am success-oriented. I will guarantee you success. I won't ask you to do something you cannot do. What are you singing? Lead singer, what are you singing? Got a lead and a tenor. Need a baritone? Well, don't stand around on ceremony. Get off of him and get up here. And we need a bass man. There we go. That looked like a sort of a half-hearted. I mean, it wasn't.
It was just you.
Yeah. But it was, I think I'd like to do that. All right, now let me ask you a question. Does the lead singer know, for example, Heart of My Heart, I Love You? Okay. Does the tenor, you familiar with that? Familiar with that? Familiar with that? Anybody got a pitch pipe? You don't have to have one, by the way. That always surprises a lot of people. You don't have to have a pitch pipe? No. Yeah.
Shall we sing it?
I don't know what else you're going to do with it.
Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you.
Now, I'd love to let you sing the whole song because I know you'd love to do that. But in the interest of time, obviously we're having to shorten certain things. Not bad, huh?
Very good.
You ever sung together before?
No.
How about that? How could you do this well?
Listen to each other.
Listen to each other. Well, where'd you learn to listen? Quartets, get chorus. See, chorus is the breeding ground. Guy walks in off the street, he doesn't know nothing. Believe me, I've seen too many of them, thousands of them. After they've been in a chorus for a while, they start to pick things up, little by little by little. You know, like osmosis, you know, it just kind of starts soaking in. And then before long, they're doing things and they don't realize they're doing it. And then it becomes a habit. Then they get up with these 3 other guys and they start doing things by instinct. What instinct? Instinct they were born with? Oh no. Instincts that they acquired in the barbershop world somewhere. And it works. Now, just for kicks, let's try the lead and the tenor together. Anytime.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, far enough. All right, coaches. think of yourself as one of the other two members in this quartet, and you're at the rehearsal, and you had the tenor and lead sing that. Is it okay? You want to go on? You want to change something? Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it?
Pretty good start.
Pretty good start. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll even agree with that. And let's go another way. Let's take the lead and the bass.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, far enough. Same question. You're one of the other two guys in the quartet, and you're listening now to the lead bass. Is it okay the way it is? Do you want to change it one way or another, or do you want to leave it alone? What do you want to do with it?
Sharpen up on tuning.
Say again?
Sharpen up on tuning.
Sharpen up on tuning. Okay, that mean anything to you? Okay. Ain't gonna help him any. All right. Let's try something. Let's ask the bass singer to sing not as loud as the lead singer, but kind of like at his shoulder, figuratively speaking. We want him, the lead singer here, and we want the bass man right here, rather than equal. Okay, we want the bass just back that much. Can do. Do it again.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah,
That's better. Well, let's go with that. All right. Now you got that frozen, right? Okay, that's your relative position. Now let's put the three together: the tenor, lead, and the bass.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, how's that? Coming along all right? All right. Now we're going to take a baritone. We're going to ask him to fill in, which is what they used to call him back in the 30s and 40s, was fill in. Okay, Mr. Fill in, fill in. 4 parts.
Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you.
Or not? Palatable?
Yeah.
Now just imagine what's going to happen over a period of time. Repetition, togetherness, togetherness, togetherness. That's what happens. I call it time and grade. You see quartets get foursomes together and man, they're going to set the world on fire. No, they're not. I don't care who they are. I saw 2 gold medalists and 2 gold medalists get back together and say, we'll go back and get another one next year. No, they didn't. It takes a certain time in grade to get used to each other. Give these guys a hand, by the way. You cannot really sing well. Now you notice I didn't say perform. There's 2 arenas for quartets. You don't have to be a quartet that sings for others. You don't have to do that to enjoy a quartet. You can just personally enjoy the quartet and the music that it makes, if you never sing for anybody else. But of course you can also get some additional ego strokes and enjoy sharing that product with others. And let them pat you on the back, you know, and boy, your ego just goes, whoa. So you can do both. But I would never forget one or the other, per se. I would never forget sing for yourselves once in a while. This is just for us. When you do that, just get right in a box. Nose to nose, toes to toes. Or sitting down around the table, looking right at each other. And just put that sound right in the middle and just wallow in it. And just really enjoy it. Who cares who else is there? And then if you're going to go out and perform, make sure that you have your product as good as you can make it. You owe them that. You know, if you want them to appreciate what you do, the least you can do is do your very best for them. Now, let me have 4 other guys. Same ground rules. No 2 from the same quartet. What do we got? Bass?
I got a bass.
This quartet's going to be interesting, I'll tell you right now. tenor.
Now I know it's.
There's a lead. We need a baritone. Need a baritone. Got one. Oh, the hand went up there.
Barely any tone, that is.
That's right. Barely any tones, Mr. Bossing would say. That's Emmett's favorite saying. Okay, also in the interest of time, and in case the guys got up here, weren't going to be familiar with the same song that I might mention, by now they might be familiar enough with Heart of My Heart to know that they can do probably the first 2 lines. Does that seem reasonable to this person?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I know it, but can I wish
You would just sing the right notes, Gordy.
Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you.
Okay, far enough. Oh, yeah, I know you won't sing the whole song. I know you. He's from Long Beach. I know him well. All right, now let's do the same process. Let's take the lead and the tenor and see what happens when they do it. Wherever you are. Wherever you are is fine. You don't even need the pitch fine. Thank you very much.
Good enough.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, far enough. Now, we do not have a timid lead here.
We don't?
No, we do not have a timid lead. Okay, it's not a Mickey Mouse lead, right? He just kind of sings it out there. And that's good. That's good. He's not a shouter, but he's right there. Just lays out a solid lead. So we're going to need a little bit more tenor with that kind of a lead. Now, if you get to singing with what I call a light lyric lead singer, then what you were doing would be exactly right. But he's a little more out there, so if you step up a little bit more. One more time. Tenor lead.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Aha. Can we buy that?
Yeah.
Well, let's try lead bass. Lord help us.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now we're going. Thank you, Gordy. Guys,
What, I didn't belt?
all the guys are going to think this is a setup that you're doing this morning as a favor. But you and I know that no, this just happens, right?
If you say so.
Okay. Now, what I want
What I
Gordy
do.
to do, I want you to do 2 things. I want you to back off about 5%. You're kind of like right here with him, and I want you to get behind him a little bit in volume. And I want you to darken the tone just a little bit.
All right.
Make it a little more hollow. Okay, not drastic.
A little more 4.
Yeah.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now, we have another interesting situation here. The lead and the bass, well, I can't say the bass, because the bass is matching the lead, therefore I cannot fault the bass for that. But the lead is singing Love You.
Yep.
So, he doesn't know that.
Does now.
Well, yeah, he does now. Stop and think about it. Stop and think about it. Do you think he was singing what he thinks is right?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that, and if nobody ever mentions it, he'll sing it that way every time. Of course he will. So we need to tell him it's not a love, but a love, a UH. Love. All right, one more time. Lead bass, not quite so dark.
Too dark?
A little too much.
Sorry about that.
Take a little 4 out of there.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now, on the bass, this is true to all 4 parts, by the way. There are some principles that apply to all 4 parts. There are some techniques that apply to each individual part that doesn't apply to others. This one applies to all 4. When you're going up and down in range, as you go down in range, you need to think the color of the tone brighter. As you come up in range, you need to think the color of the tone a little darker. Said another way, down here, you're going to move it as much into the singing mask as you can. Make it brighter. Up at the top, you're going to take it out of the mask and you're going to cover it a little bit more. Heart, let me see. Heart. It's going to be bright down there. Of my heart I love. Love. Don't want that one up there. Love you. Got to cover it up there, okay? Uncover it down there, cover it up there if you want to look at it that way. And let's see what happens. Lead bass.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Let's put the tenor in and see what happens with three parts now. You just don't believe they're staying in tune, do you?
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, do it one more time, take 10% off. What can I say?
Heart of my heart, I love you.
All right, let's put the baritone in there with it now. Everybody else stay where you
Sing a
are.
little louder, will you?
You're doing fine. Four parts. Same key.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Far enough. Make any differences?
Yeah.
Sure it does. Sure it does. Give these guys a hand. That's not unusual to find bass singers that you're going to have to back them off. First of all, put yourself in the position of a bass singer if you can, mentally. Remember where he is pitch-wise. He's down the cellar most of the time. Now, it's just a principle of the physics of sound that the lower the pitch, the less distance it goes before it just kind of dies out, okay? That's why that tenor note way up there on a high B flat will carry all the way back to the end of the auditorium without really singing it too loud because it's such a high pitch. Ping. Matter of fact, that's a good description. The tenor's note is a ping, and the bass's note is a bong. So instinctively, basses think they should sing louder than they really have to. And when you say, now make sure you're just a little bit back of that lead volume-wise, they go where they think that is. And invariably, it's always right up there with them, right up with the lead singer.
A little beyond.
And some basses go a little beyond. Now, tenors are the inverse of that situation. A lot of tenors, especially the ones that have been in barbershopping for a while, you know, they've always heard that tenors, you can just mail in your part because if the other three guys are doing it right, your note's already there as an overtone. Well, that's true. The part about if the other three guys are doing it right, chances are the tenor note is there as an overtone. But not on every chord. Not on every chord. And as it turns out, the tenor needs to do just a little bit more than augment that. He's got to be there. And on that chord, the tenor on top, that's his chord. He's got to be as loud as any voice in the quartet, maybe a tad louder. Him being that one up there. That's the tenor's chord. He has to learn that that's his chord. When everyone in the Chinese seventh comes along, he's got to be right there. So the tenor's probably going to have to sing a little louder than he thinks. The bass is going to sing a little softer than he thinks. And now the baritone. What's he going to do? Well, he's going to adjust. That's why I call him a fill-in. There were two reasons. First of all, he had to fill in the missing note. Remember in the old days, they woodshedded everything. And the melody was fixed. Whatever the lead singer sang was the melody by definition. Whatever he sang was right. You couldn't say, no, that's not the way the melody goes. He'd look at you and say, maybe your melody doesn't go that way, but mine does. So whatever the lead sang was right by definition. The bass part was and still is the bass part. They sing basically the roots and fifths of the chords, you know, with an occasional something else, but usually involving swipes. The tenor is the natural ear harmony part, as long as we're singing around the key of B flat, by the way. You get up in key of F and all bets are off because the tenor and baritone are going to change places. They don't know that, and that's why some of them can't woodshed a song that's in F or G up there. The tenor says, "Oh, I just can't find my tenor part." Of course not. What you got to sing is a high baritone, and the baritone is going to sing a low tenor. It's just the way it is. Up here we sing tight chords. Down here we spread them out. So Let's keep in the area of B flat for talking purposes right now. The baritone's going to have to make a decision, several of them, but actually it boils down to one. He's got to decide what color lead is he singing with and what color bass is he singing with, how well matched or not matched are they. It's going to make a difference as to what he does. Let's assume they're basically matched. Then he's got to fill in between those two whenever he is under the lead with the pitch of his note compared to what the lead is singing. Because baritones are not always under the lead. The lead comes down here. There's no room now for the baritone. There's the bass and there's the lead. The baritone's going to be up here. Now he's going to be over the lead. Now the baritone's got to think like a tenor because he's got to bridge the gap from the lead to the tenor. Then we turn it around. Now he's got to bridge the gap from the lead to the bass. So the tenor, the baritone has to be a fairly versatile individual. And you probably have heard, there's a whole bunch of myths that go around. You know, baritones should be seen but not heard, you know, like children. That's not true. You don't want to hear the baritone part standing out, of course. On the other hand, if he is not there at the right volume relationship to what's going on in the other three, then it doesn't really gel like it should. So the baritone's going to go, he'll go anywhere from a full voice, in today's vernacular, a full four, wah, into a falsetto and nothing but a pure one. In a falsetto, he's going to do all that. That's just the nature of the beast, you know. And he ain't ever going to get any thanks for it. The better he does his job, the better that bass man sounds. And the better he does his job, the better the quartet sounds. And so they say, man, what a lead singer. Man, ain't that a great bass. Man, listen to that tenor hit them high notes. And then they're through. They never say anything about the baritone. Never say anything about the baritone. Unless he gets a tiddly. Now, if he gets a tiddly, and there are some of us arrangers, matter of fact, this may surprise you, the majority of the arrangers today are baritones. Majority of them.
They want to write their own parts.
You bet. We're going to get something in there for the baritone somewhere, wherever it might be. Okay. Hopefully that's given you a little bit of an overview. Number one, as to what you can do within your own quartet as far as listening and helping. Self-help. It's a matter of just using your ears. You don't have to be technically oriented. You can experiment. You can try singing softer. Let's see what happens. And the guy does, and you say, oh, I like that better. That's a better sound. Okay, then stay that way for a while and see what happens, you know. But eventually you're going to have to go to outside help. And there's a lot of it available, and the irony of it is most new quartets are very reluctant to ask. Oh boy, I'd hate to ask so-and-so, you know, God, he's got to be busy, and, you know, who are we? Well, let me tell you something. I have more enjoyment working with quartets who have never been to international, have never won a district contest, okay? They don't even know if they're going to go that direction or not. They just got their quartet together and they're starting to enjoy it and they'd like to make it better. I have more fun working with those quartets than I do the ones that are top 10 international or right up there looking at a district championship right in the eye. And I coach those kinds too. But it's two different kinds of coaching, two totally different types of coaching. Those that are pursuing the medals, okay, they get rid of their thin skins real quick, and they say, just beat us to death, drive us, make us do whatever we have to do. That's the way they're motivated, okay? And I do that, but I probably don't do it too well. I come from the other school. I have empathy for every singer, no matter what his part is. I have empathy for him. And so I want to help him, but I'm also success-oriented, like I mentioned before tonight. I don't want to ask them to do something that they cannot yet do, because I think that's dumb. Here's what you need to do, and then they can't do it. Well, that's failure. Failure is frustration. But if you say, try this, and they do it, and it works, that's success-oriented. Now they're going, whoa, ooh. Can you do some more of that? Well, step at a time, you know, walk before you run. We've got time for one more foursome. And we're going to take a little break. Boy, all of the eager volunteers is just overwhelming. What do we have?
Same song?
Got a lead singer. A half baritone over here. Yes, sir. Bring your cane right up there with you.
All right.
Put it in your pocket.
All right.
Give it to me,
All right,
whatever.
there you go.
I'll watch it for you.
The gas ones will keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we'll watch.
Yeah, they'll watch it.
I didn't bring my dog. I sick of one.
Hey, need a tenor. Won't someone please speak kindly to the tenor? That's a song.
Not me.
Dale, I don't think I'd want to hear you sing. Very
What
well.
song are you
That's
singing?
Mr. Nuttleman, as I live and breathe. My old Hughes buddy from about 100 years ago. Heart of my heart, that key right there. Same song.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, far enough. Only in the interest of time. Now let's listen to the lead tenor, okay?
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now we have an interesting tenor here. He's different than the ones we've had so far. Dick has what I call a very round, full tenor voice. It's not the thin, pointed one, okay? Which is fine, but he has to know that. And it's going to take less of that to balance the lead than it would either of the prior two tenors. So you just need to know that and just give him a little less. You can do that. Thank you very much.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, let's add the bass to the tenor and the lead. We'll speed up the process here. Hope I guess right.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now, I'll tell you this much. He's been listening to everything I said.
Yeah, great.
He really has.
Yeah.
So much so that he went too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, he went too far. He thought, I'm going to be safe, he ain't going to tell me this. And he's right, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to say you're going to have to put a little more out there. All right, three parts, same thing. A little more bass.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now we got a different color bass. And isn't that wonderful that we're not all alike? God, viva la difference. Now, he has what I call a soft round bass. So we're going to have to figure out a way for him to put some projection into it. More up here in the mask. Instead of heart of my heart, heart of my heart. A little more point, okay? Three parts.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, I take it back. He was listening to almost everything I said. He forgot the part that when you go up here, you gotta. But the bottom was good. Now you got the bottom where it belongs, and I just put the top in the right perspective. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. Three parts.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Let's try four.
Feel
Put
better.
fill in there. Here we go. 4 bars.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Okay, now we're going to sing the line one more time. I want you to be conscious of your vowels. That's all I'm going to say. Here we go.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
How about giving this voice a Let me point out something very interesting. I know some of the people who got up here, but, you know, if you've been around as long as Methuselah, how would I not know some of them? But there's 3 foursomes that have not sung together before, and I'll tell you right now, all 3 make a palatable product. All 3. Very palatable product. Give them some rehearsal time, and they could sing on my show, and I would not be embarrassed at all. In fact, I'd be kind of pleased to have them, because I know that they would present a palatable product. Now, there's 12 guys kind of at random. So don't tell me that we don't have any quartet people around, and that's why we don't get more quartets. That's a bunch of hogwash. What we have is people who are afraid of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is one of the biggest things there is in the world. We all know that. And they're always afraid to try it. They're afraid to ask Sid Sausage, "Hey Sid, would you like to sing in a quartet?" They're afraid to do that. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're afraid the guy's going to say no. So what? Maybe they're afraid he's going to say yes. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, don't sit around and wait for somebody to come looking for you. If you want to sing in a quartet, I don't care what kind, even if it's the personal kind that will never sing for anybody else, but I'd sure love to have the quartet experience, go ask somebody and tell them that's what you're looking for, right up front. I'm not interested in buying socks alike and getting uniforms and go compete in the Continental. That ain't what I'm after. What I'd like to do is this. You might find that there's going to be 3 other guys that would kind of like to do the same thing you want. On the other hand, if you're saying, I want to put together a quartet and I want to get in the harness and I want to go compete, put that up front. Say that right up front. Because there's no sense in trying to get a quartet together when 2 want to go this way and 2 want to go that way. It ain't going to work. You are wasting your time and you might end up getting some hurt feelings over it. So make sure you keep everything right up front, right on top of the table, so that everybody knows what's going on. And the last thing I want to say before we take a break is when you get to force them together, you have not committed to forming a quartet. All you've said is, we'd like to, let's get together, see how it goes. And you might do that 2, 3, 4 times before you decide, you know what, I think this might work. And if the other 3 say, I think you're right, let's give it a shot. Or you might say after 3 or 4, I just don't think it's going to work. For what? You don't have to have a reason. I think I'd just rather not pursue it anymore. And that's it. You don't have to. Now, the other 3 might decide they want to, and they might find a replacement for you. Or later on, one of them might come back and say, well, I think I'd still like to sing with you if you're interested in quartetting. Well, I'm interested in quartetting, but I don't think that my lead and the bass are ever going to get close enough to a match that it's ever going to work. And if I were you, I wouldn't make that judgment. If that is kind of in the back of your mind, I'd get an outside source to come and listen to the quartet. You can get an outside evaluation of, yeah, I think that there's a little bias probably built into this because these gentlemen are all of an appropriate age to remember a quartet called the Gallivands. Yeah. I got a hunch that had something to do with the choice of this number. Be our guest. We'd love to listen to you.
Long ago my heart and mind got together and designed a wonderful girl for me. Oh, what a fantasy! Though the idol of my heart can't be ordered by God, I wonder if she will be only a fantasy. Will I ever find the girl on my mind, the one who is my ideal? Maybe she's a dream, but yet she might be just around the corner, waiting for me. Will I recognize the light in her eyes that no other eyes reveal? Or will I pass her by and never even know that she
my licks at you.
Yeah, right. Stuck, aren't you?
Now, there's a lot of experience in this quartet. And there's a lot of age in this quartet. There's a lot of age in 5 of us up here. But I don't know any other way to have experience other than to get older. It's the way it works. You can't fight it. And you can tell that when you listen. Obviously, they're just learning the song. That's apparent. Okay. So you throw that in the hopper, and you say, well, there's a couple of notes here, a couple of notes there, where a guy's not sure of this, not sure of that. Okay, set that aside. They'll take care of that. The more they sing the song, they'll find those, they'll fix those, and those will be there. So you say, okay, what can we offer this quartet right now to make them better? And so I say, well, confidence. That's what we can offer. Because there's a little tentativeness there. Most of it is not too sure of all the notes yet, you know. I know almost all of them. And if they weren't singing in front of you, then they'd have had a better chance to get them. But now they're up in front of their peers. You know, the hardest place for any quartet to sing, the most difficult of all, is in front of its own chapter. Well, they can go to another chapter and they just as relaxed as they can be, and they just stand right up there and lay it out unless they look out there and see a judge. They go to their own chapter and they're saying, man, I know every one of these guys. And every one of these guys knows me. Oh, boy. And the irony of it is, and this is irony, when you sing for your own chapter, that is the most supportive group you'll ever have. They are pulling for you so much because you're a part of their family. Okay? They want you to succeed. So here you are in a quartet school, so to speak. These guys want you to succeed. They're going to pretend not to hear anything that's not quite right. They'll come up with a reason for that. They'll have an explanation for that. But then everything that you do good, they're going to say, see, told you they could do that, told you they could do that. They're all on their side. Now I want you just to sing the front end of the song with that attitude. Just relax. Enjoy your quartet. That's why you put it together. Okay? And remember now, we're all on your side. Okay? So just sing and enjoy it. You don't have to look at it if you don't want to. Get in applause if you don't want to. Whatever. No? Now trust yourself.
Long ago my heart and mind got together and designed a wonderful girl for me. Oh, what a fantasy! Though the idol of my heart can't be ordered on a card,
There's a place we got to take some notes. Go ahead.
I wonder if she will be only a fantasy. Will I ever find the girl on my mind? The one who is my ideal. Maybe she's a dream, and yet she might be just around the corner, waiting for me. Will I recognize the light in her eyes that no other eyes reveal? Or will I pass her by and never really know that she is my ideal? My
very tiddly.
Yeah. I'm looking right at you, man. My ideal. That's what you're doing, right? That's what you're doing.
Oh, we didn't have that on our music.
Yeah, you're
Yes,
singing
you
the right
did.
notes.
Yeah,
You're singing all the right notes.
Oh, I see.
But you're screwing up the words.
Oh, I see.
Gotta have the Dory Lee
And you're doing my eye. Now please repeat the word after me. My ideal. My tiny baritone bass. Right on the peg, my ideal. Well, you did before. My tiny baritone bass. Baritone, my ideal bass. My ideal, that's it. Bass, baritone, lead tenor. 4 parts. And Bill Cockrell. How am I doing?
Right on.
Right on.
Right on. Didn't miss a one?
You bet. All right, moving right along here. We have, oh yes, the bank letter U, number 4. That's the way he told me.
Hey, give a listen to that wonderful sound. See what you're missing. Come on, gather around. Listen while we sing a song in a style that can't go wrong. Maybe you can sing along. Just give it a try. In the barbershop style.
I can't top that one.
That's the first time I've ever seen him speechless. His arrangement. That's
His arrangement? Only up to a point. Now let's see.
Sorry about that.
We are creatures of habit. We all are. And it's not easy to change or... Yeah, change is a good word. Well, in some instances they say, you know, here, if you have a bad habit, you want to get rid of it. That's tough to do. No, I didn't mean that. It's like drinking, smoking, those kind of things. You say, well, I consider that bad, therefore I want to get rid of that. That's tough to do. That's very tough to do. It's a lot easier to say, I think I'll exchange that habit for another one. That's not as tough to do. I think I'll give up smoking and go to chewing gum. So every time I want a cigarette now, I'm going to reach over and grab a piece of gum. Makes it a little easier. It does. Changing one for another is easier than just saying stop something. Like people go on diets and they say, I want to quit eating. I don't know who they're kidding. It ain't going to work. Sooner or later, they got to eat. And they will. And they whoop, they put it right back on and a little bit more to boot. They got to change something. They got to put a new habit in for an old one, okay? Why am I leading up in that fashion? Because do you know how long this man's been singing barbershop? I hate to tell you how long. Because then you'll know how old he is.
Almost as long as you have.
Well, I wasn't going to put it that way, but that's pretty close to true. So to look at Gordy and say, now Gordy, just change that, you know, just like that. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to tell him again. Don't oversing your lead singer. Back about that far behind him volume-wise. What you did nicely in the other quartet. Now you need to do nicely here. Same thing.
I thought he was singing louder than the other guy was.
Well, I heard more bass than I heard lead. And seldom is the lead wrong. Seldom.
Always is a bass wrong.
Oh. Well, I gotta pick on somebody, and you're the shortest man. All right, one more time. Not quite so much bass.
Same song?
Sure, same song. You bet.
Wow, that second song.
Now pick any one of those you like.
Got it? Hey, give a listen to that wonderful sound. See what you're missing. Come on, gather around. Listen while we sing a song in a style that can't go wrong. Maybe you can sing along. Just give it a try. In the barbershop style.
I rest my case. That's two entirely different quartets.
Yeah.
And this one is kind of nice. I mean, nice. Cleaner sound, more of a team sport. It sounds more like a quartet. You don't hear individuals.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Dick, did you get that on tape?
I got it on tape.
In other words, Gordon, quit trying to sing lead while you're singing bass.
Yeah, you did put it that way. But now I'm going to tell
I get the
them what I tell the chapters that I work with, you know, after we get them to do something, and then they prove they can do it, just like he did. I'm going to say now he has no excuse for not doing it right, because he's proven he has the capability to do it right. See, it's a two-edged sword. So I got you. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. By the way, let me re-emphasize that. When I said I'm impressed, I was genuinely impressed that you could adapt that fast, that rapidly, and do as good a job as you did. I mean that sincerely.
Don't say it'll go to his head.
Well,
You call
the
Earl.
truth is the truth, you know. It's hard to get around the truth. That was impressive, Cody. But you're too old to be able to do that.
I am.
And unless I'm mistaken, across the years comes to us from the Orange chapter of Quartet. While they're getting up here, you'll notice I did not ask the group to sing the tail end of the other quartet song.
Here we are, you and I, all dressed up tonight. And pardon me if I say we look fine, look fine. My new hat, your new gown, makes one's memory bright. The first time that you told me you were mine, that you were mine. When I wore my daddy's brown derby, and you wore your mother's blue gown, blue gown. We made believe we were husband and wife, and then that first little kiss I'll remember for life. You took my arm, as we strolled up and down. We were the happiest, funniest kids in the town. When I wore my
see if we can come up with something that will help this quartet grow. And we're going to take the tag where it comes in on a sweet little Alice Blue Gown, or wherever that is. You know where it is?
Yes.
Sweet little Alice.
Well, we can't get them there.
And on my lovely blue gown.
Sweet.
All right, back up to somewhere in the chorus, toward the end of the chorus. That is round early,
And you wore your mother's blue, sweet little Alice Blue gown.
Okay, far enough. Now, every once in a while, well, first of all, you need to know that if you had to pick out a note that was the most important, it's always going to be the root of the chord. And you're saying, that's great, Earl, thank you very much. I haven't the foggiest idea what the root of the chord is. Well, yeah, you do. You do, but you don't know it. There's a way to identify it. The root of the chord is the note that you can move up a whole step, and the chord still sounds okay, and then you can go back. In other words, you can move up a whole tone and back, and everything sounds fine when you do that. Sweet little Alice Blue gown, 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 gown. Just sing gown. Okay, now we're going to ask the tenor to move up a note and come back. Here we go. That good, bad, or indifferent?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, one more time to do the lead. How's that one?
Better. Better.
Okay, let's try the bass. Better?
A little better.
Don't say
Not
yes,
right.
because we haven't heard all four yet. You've only heard three. All right, fourth part.
There
We got it. See, you almost judged too quickly. See, that was not a bad chord that the bass made when he moved up. It was okay. First two was not okay. Matter of fact, they had difficulty trying to move up a whole tone and back. And properly so, because the relationship didn't make sense to their ear. And so they're struggling trying to, did I go a whole tone or not? I don't know if I did or not. You know. The bass could go a whole tone, and he did, and it was, yeah, we can get by. The baritone, oh yeah, we've heard that a lot. We've heard that a lot. Then he must have the root, because he moved up and came back, and it was perfectly fine all the way. Now, depending on how the chord is voiced, right now we're looking at one like this, okay? The baritone's in here. Now, maybe the chord's going to be this way, tight. Maybe the root will be here. Maybe it's like this, and all tenors know that is the root. That's why you have to have them lean on that chord. They got the root of the chord. And you're saying, well, why would you bother to go down to this detail? Only in a spot that's being belabored by the quartet, or milked, or enjoyed. Because the longer you stretch it out, the longer the listener has a chance to analyze it. So, when you're going to have something that is held for a long time, you want to make sure that that's as wonderful as you can sing that. Okay? So we're not focusing on all chords. We're just picking out the biggies that come along somewhere and making sure they're right. And it turns out he's got the root, but he goes to the ninth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the root. 9, that's why they call it the ninth. He goes up one step, and he's there before he goes to the root. Sweet little Alice Blue gown, he's there, gown. Now, he's got to be there long enough for him to get down to the root and us to hear that chord. And just about the time he got ready to resolve it, they quit.
Yeah.
And you wore your mother's blue, sweet little Alice blue gown.
Hear the difference?
Yeah.
You got to have the root of the chord. In this case, they're sustaining it, and they're doing more than that. They're making a thing out of this, which is okay. That's what swipes are for. Swipes usually call attention to something. He's got a little baritone tiddly. Only 2 notes, but that's a tiddly, any way you look at it. So that's making something out of that spot. So they have to make sure that that spot's wonderful. So they have to recognize that he's got the root, and they got to and he's got to know it. So when he comes down, he's got to lean on that more than he normally would. And the quartet goes, "Oh, listen to that chord! Wow!" And then they won't want to let go of it. That's the way it works.
And you wore your mother's blue, sweet little Alice blue gown.
All right, now, I'm going to go back to the front end of this song. Here we have what I call a timid baritone. He's not timid from lack of confidence. He just wants to make sure he doesn't stand out, okay? So he's got it under control, pulling it back. We need you to add about 10%. Across the board. We just need a little more of you in there, okay? All right, can you go back to the front edge? Let's see what happens with a little more baritone.
Here we are, you and I, all dressed up tonight.
Do that same line again.
Here we are, you and I, all dressed up tonight.
Okay, now, you stay there. Now we're going to take Mr. Another one here, Dick. Well, I want to tell you how far back in I go. Dick is what we call a converted lead. Yes. How long has it been since you sang lead? Just roughly about 30 years. Okay. That's converted. Converted and throws it into the other ilk of singing tenor baritone. Okay. So here he is now. He's decided, well, shoot, there aren't any leads down there. So one way to get a quartet together is say, well, I'll sing lead. So he says, I'll sing lead. But he's singing lead with a tenor approach.
Yeah.
Because he sang tenor all those years. So he's singing, here we are,